On the road with Dale.
Hey guys, thanks for joining the convoy today. You're on the road with Dale. And today we're looking at Proverbs chapter 9, and I want to focus in on verse number 10. He says, "The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and the knowledge of the holy is understanding." Now, I am a firm believer that the Bible says what it means and means what it says. And when it says the fear of the Lord, I think that that is exactly what it means. I don't think that it means a reverential trust like you'll hear some people say. I'm afraid that we have forgotten just exactly who God is. We serve a God who stepped out on nothing and spoke, and everything that we see came into existence. We serve a God who took his fingertip and wrote the 10 Commandments on tables of stone. This is the God that we serve. He is a God of love, but we also need to remember that he is a God of justice and he is a God of wrath. And that is exactly why Jesus had to die on the cross, is because payment for sin was demanded. My dad was he was a hard man sometimes. When Daddy spoke, he spoke twice. Once to tell you what you needed to do. The second time was to ask why it wasn't done. When I was growing up, I hated to hear the phrase, "because I said so." And I always vowed, oh, I'll never say that to my kids. One day they were asking if they could do something, and I told them no, and they kept on and kept, well, why not? And I heard my daddy's voice saying, "because I said so." But the reason that I come to understand was because I needed them, when they heard my voice say stop, they needed to stop right then. It wasn't because I was trying to deny them a pleasure or to try and keep them from having fun, but because I knew that it's very easy to lose track of what you're doing in the middle of a game. If you're playing ball and it runs out in the road, I may see the car coming that you don't. And I had that happen with my boy. And he was fixing to run out, and I yelled, "Stop." And he didn't, because he was so focused on getting that ball. And I just grabbed him by the back of his shirt and pulled him back before the car could get to him. And I told him, I said, "I know that that hurt, and I'm sorry. But getting hit by that car would have hurt a lot worse and would have done a lot more damage." There are times in our lives that God tells us to stop. And it's not always what we want to hear. But there are times, as in always, that he sees the end from the beginning. And what we don't see, he does. And the times that he tells us no is not as a punishment, but so many times it's to keep us from hurting ourselves if we got what we wanted. As the kids got older, once the anger and the disappointment was out of the way, I was able to set them down and explain to them the why behind why I said no. Now, sometimes that helped and sometimes it didn't, but it did let them know that I had their best interest at heart. And I do know this: the God that we serve, we can 1000% trust him. When he tells us no, it may hurt, it may sting, but he has our best interest at heart. Guys, thanks for joining us today. Hopefully you'll tune back in tomorrow on The Road with Dale.
On the road with Dale. On the road with Dale.